What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here, coming back at y'all with another 2-minute drill episode. We got some rain, we got some thunder in the background. B-Dub is in the rainforest, but we're back at y'all with the biggest storylines of college football. We're going back to the SWAC, man. We got a little bit of head coach drama we got to cover, man, and I got some opinions on this because I love it. And we're also going to give y'all our most overlooked NFL draft prospects in this upcoming NFL draft. So, Len, let's not waste any time and get to the show, man. Man. As we thought Alabama A&M Jackson State has passed, we had other news, man. In an interview for Alabama A&M, it was released on Cut Day Sports. Shout out to them, man. They do some great HBCU SWAC football coverage over there. Alabama A&M head coach Connell Maynor had some strong comments when asked about Deion Sanders. Brandon, when asked if he had any advice for Deion, Maynor said, quote, "He got assistant coaches. He has NFL coaches, and I'm sure he can lean on those guys for advice. He didn't call me, but he's the enemy. I'm not giving any advice." And then he paused and said, "Recruit some more of those 5 stars. You talk about all those 4 and 5 stars you can recruit. You aren't the only one who can recruit 5 stars. We do too." And he said that everyone's waiting for next year, but we're playing right now. Everyone likes their team at the beginning of the year. And then he ended the interview, Brandon. This is my favorite part. He said, "Bring it. They're going to be waiting right here." And Brandon, we don't get this, all these D1 coaches and everything, they're so like, oh, we can't say the wrong thing. Nick Saban will attack a reporter every once in a while, but that's about the only drama we get from head coaches. We had Ryan Day off camera, though. I don't know if this is confirmed, told Jim Harbaugh he's going to hang 100 on them come the game. Then they got COVID, so it didn't happen. But Brandon, your thoughts on this, and what's your whole take on this beef? Whose side are you on?
I like to be on the winning side, so I'm going to go with Deion because I think once Akil Glass is gone from Alabama A&M, all deals off. Once Deion gets all his players that he's been recruiting on the field, game's over. Alabama A&M doesn't win that game week in, week out. They win the game this weekend by single digits, and then he comes out talking like this. Like, come on. What I will say, Zach, is that he just laid it all on the table. And I mean, what can I say? The guts of this man is what I'll say. to come after Deion Sanders, to come after prime time like that, man, that's crazy. I could never imagine doing that. So, I mean, respect for that, I guess, but I don't think he's going to be able to back it up. I really, truly don't.
Man,
wait, hold on. I gotta ask. What 5-star is he recruiting? I would like to know.
I don't know. Listen, all I know is that if I'm a 5-star recruit, I'm going to give this dude a call. If I decide I want to go the HBCU SWAC route, I want this energy from my head coach, Brandon. We are on completely opposite sides of this. Listen, to the winner goes the spoils, man. If I beat you in your stadium on primetime ESPN primetime, I'm talking my ish 100% of the time, dude. And in Deion, Brandon, I forgot to mention what sparked it is Deion told him at the midfield handshake that we'll see you next year.
Yeah.
So,
he probably will.
I mean, they will. They have to play, but also Akil Glass will be back next year too. So probably not. I don't know who wants to see who next year. Man, the quarterback battle between Sanders and Glass next year is going to be an epic game, man. And I know this weekend they're gearing up Alabama A&M, Alabama State, but Brandon, I love this energy. I mean, how amazing! So you're an LSU fan.
Yeah.
Let us know, who's your biggest rival? Florida?
I'd say Florida. Yeah.
Florida. How amazing would it be if Coach O straight up looked at the camera and told Dan Mullen, he was like, "Listen, bring it. We're going to be right here with this Cajun energy. You go recruit your 5 stars. I'll recruit my 5 stars, and I'll see you on the field."
Well, he kind of said that to Nick Saban, and we saw what happened. It didn't turn out too well.
That's true. That's true, man. I like the confidence. I mean, because Brandon, you got to think. So, I mean, I know that the jobs aren't comparable. I mean, you've been doing your job for a while. what if like a new dude came in, man? He might have went to Harvard and got the same degree you have, came into this job, and he came in talking about like, okay, you might know more than me. You might know more than me now, Brandon, but I'll see you next year on the job. Once you like in a little bit in your stomach, be like, I've been here, like I'm doing this. Like you don't get to come in here until you've proven anything.
I get what you're saying. But that's also like a really weird thing for one accountant to say to another accountant. I think these are two totally different situations, Zach. But yeah, I get what you're saying, man. That is true. I mean, Deion's the new kid on the block. He's coming up to these guys that have been at their schools for years, talking all this trash. And I mean, you gotta love that. How do you not love that? How do you not love? I mean, if you love what Maynor's saying here, how do you not love what Deion's doing? Just laying it all out, saying, "All right, we got you next year. We'll see you next year. Give me 1 year." This is his first year, Zach. So it probably will be see you next year. I'm sorry, guys. It's super loud. I don't know if you get it.
Yeah, but BW is in the rainforest, like I said. But, man, I think, you look at what Alabama A&M has done, though, Brandon. I mean, they've been one of the most successful programs in the SWAC. Maynor has done this, man. He's won the SWAC before. He's went to the, I believe it's the celebration, but like he's done this. And so I think the underlying message here for me, at least looking underneath these comments, kind of like below surface level, I really feel like he's saying, okay, until you do anything in the SWAC, put some respect on us, because just because you can recruit 5 stars, you had 5 stars on the field. Yes, there were a bunch that weren't playing yet, but you had 5 stars, you had 4 stars on the field, and we still beat you. We put up 52 on your head. They gave Jackson State a 50-piece McNugget Saturday, Brandon, and walked out of that stadium with the W. I mean, you got to love this confidence just a little bit. Even if you're like a Jackson State fan or you're on Deion Sanders' side, you got to respect this dude just a little bit at least.
I do, man. I came out swinging. I said he put his guts on the table. He laid his nuts on the table, dog, and he told Deion Sanders, "Look, I've been here. I know what I'm doing. We just whooped y'all. What are you talking about? You'll be seeing me next year." So I definitely understand where you're coming from.
And listen, I know at first, like you could tell, like, I don't know if y'all saw the clip. I didn't want to get, we get copyright strikes on YouTube, and so I didn't know if we could clear the video to show on here. I have the video, so we might have to find a way to release that. But if you look in this dude's eyes, Brandon, you could tell as a grown man, he meant every single word he said on camera. He was like, "I am serious. I'm right here. Y'all know the zip code. Y'all know the address. You got my phone number. Call me." And, the thing I liked is that, yes, he talked, all that. But at the end, I like how we said, yeah, everyone's focused on next year because y'all suck too much this year to be like in contention. Like, and then I like the point that he made where he was like, everyone likes their team at the beginning. Deion started 3-0. He loved that team at the beginning. It was 3-0. We're beating up on lesser talent outside of maybe Grambling. Grambling's kind of having a down year, but you're beating up on lesser talent. Why don't y'all come eat at the table with the big dogs, and then we'll talk. And I really, really like that he was kind of like, but let's just hold off real quick until you win anything here. Let's just see. And he was like, I don't want to hear about next year. He said, Alabama A&M is competing for SWAC championships. Until y'all compete for a SWAC championship, y'all aren't on my level.
Yeah, that's a fact. Sorry, guys. This is bad. We better to edit this out for a second. But, yeah, man, I definitely get that. He's coming through with the confidence. And if you guys haven't been listening for very long, Zach and I love confidence. And coaches, players, whatever it be, big fans.
Yeah, so we're gonna shift gears here for a minute, guys. I'm gonna let B-Dub get inside real quick. But for me, man, he's gonna move inside. But man, our next topic is going to be the NFL draft. Man, we got so much NFL draft coverage. If y'all haven't been checking it out, our NFL draft corner is on YouTube. We already released Washington football team, and we've already released Washington football team. We got the Ravens coming out. We've had some really, really fun episodes. We got the Seahawks episode out, so make sure to check those out. But me and Brett are going to break down here our most overlooked NFL prospects. These are guys that have first, second round talent that probably aren't going to go there. So, Brandon, you're back inside. We aren't outside in the rainforest anymore. Who is your first prospect that you think is the most overlooked prospect in this draft?
I'm going to come through with a guy who kind of – I'm sorry, I'm still talking loud like I'm outside. I'm going to come through with a guy who he played at North Texas last year, insanely underrated wide receiver, and that's Jalen Darden. This guy's coming into this draft rated at about what? I want to say it's a 7th round grade. He's not quite undrafted, but he is coming in at that last round of the draft. I truly think, and I don't know about first or second round talent, Zach, but I think he's a solid like mid-third, early 4th round talent, if nothing else. This guy last year, I mean, obviously his best season so far, had 74 receptions for nearly 1,200 yards. And not only that, Zach, that's over 16 yards per catch. We're talking about 16.1 yards per reception last year with 19 touchdowns, which is insane. The 19 touchdowns matches his previous 3 years at North Texas. Now, I know what you're thinking, and you might be right. Did he benefit from an only Conference USA schedule or mostly Conference USA schedule this past season? Probably. North Texas wasn't going around getting beaten up for teams' homecomings this past year, and that might have helped out a little bit. But I mean, just watching this guy through this past season was insane. This kid's insane, and not to mention the year before that, when he was getting beaten up or whatever, he had 76 receptions. He had 2 receptions for 736 yards, 9.7 yards reception, and 12 touchdowns. Yeah, it's a big cut from what he had last season as production-wise. But, man, that's still some talent. I mean, that's still some good stuff. And when you take into account the teams that North Texas actually had to play against, North Texas is one of those schools that's going to get scheduled for homecomings against these big-name schools. And so, man, I just don't think you really pass up on this guy. I think, honestly, Zach, if the Saints needed a receiver and they took him in the 3rd round, I wouldn't be mad about it. If they took him in the 4th round, I'd be happy about it.
I like it. I mean, I think he has a lot of upside, but I think, like you said, that Conference USA schedule probably benefited him a lot. I think that's kind of why he's fell down. And, Brandon, this wide receiving class is just so deep, I mean, from top to bottom, that it's just really hard. And that's funny you picked a wide receiver. I did too. When I say this guy's name, I don't want to get judged because he has a 3rd, 4th round grade on this guy, and I think he's a 1st round talent if he stays healthy, Brandon. And that's Tylan Wallace.
Yeah.
I think this kid out of Oklahoma State has a chance, Brandon, to be one of the best players in this draft. I mean, you look at that 2018 season where he had over 1,500 yards. He was averaging 17 yards per catch, had double-digit touchdowns. I mean, Brandon, he's 5'11", 185. And when I get to my pro comp, that's going to be important. But my biggest thing for him, I think he's going to move to the slot in the NFL. His explosion off the line of scrimmage is elite. I think he has the juice to outpace any linebacker you put on him, any small corner. I think he's so quick off the line of scrimmage. That's where he's going to make his money. And Brandon, for being 5'10", if I didn't tell you he was 5'10", 5'11", you would say, man, he mosses a lot of people for being a shorter wide receiver. It's that vertical, man. I mean, he had the most contested catches, Brandon, in the country over the last 3 years, and that's with him being hurt one of the years. Yeah. I mean, he's just so good. And listen, the only thing, I get it, he might not be, he might not have that straight line speed that you're looking for in a wide receiver, and that torn ACL is still there. But Brandon, if you're just looking for pure upside, you have to look at Tylan Wallace, right?
I mean, yeah, obviously Tylan Wallace. I'm sorry, I have a hat on, guys. I had to go do something. But but Tylan Wallace is, very talented. I mean, we saw what he could do in his college career. I think 2 years ago is more of a testament as to what we think of him than this past year. This past year wasn't quite as exciting for him, but he still had the highlights there. I mean, he still has a ton of upside. And this is a guy that, I compared Jalen Darden, right? I had the analogy of him going to the Saints. If the Saints would draft Tylan Wallace in the 2nd round, I wouldn't be mad at all, at all.
I agree, man. And his pro comp for me, even Pro Football Focus doesn't even have a pro comp for him, which is weird. But My pro comp for him, just with the size and just physicality, Brandon, he reminds me of Steve Smith.
Oh,
Just,
I mean, that is
like,
stout.
yeah, I mean, it's stout. I think that's his ceiling. Let me say that. I don't know if he'll live up to that, but I think that's the type of receiver we could see him be. So I like him as that. Listen, if I could tell you could get Steve Smith in the 4th round, you say sign me up every single day for that. So, and I'll go second, man. Then we'll snake draft this. I'm gonna go to the defensive side of the ball. I got 2 here. I've only picked 2 players for this, and one defense now is Chaz Surratt. We've kind of talked about him briefly on the podcast, and when I look for overlooked prospects, Brandon, it's high upside due to a variety of reasons, whether it be injuries, whether it be inexperience. But when you have a guy who played quarterback, Brandon, who was the Gatorade North Carolina Player of the Year and threw 51 touchdowns and over 3,500 yards, and then you switch him to middle linebacker, there's going to be a slight learning curve, I feel like, in terms of that position switch. But he led UNC his first year in tackles. This past year was one of the top ones again. He had over 100 tackles, Brandon, his very first year playing linebacker. And the reason I like him, Brandon, is one, he's athletic enough to step back into coverage. He even took snaps at slot corner this year at 6'3", 230. That is so athletic. He could be physical. And his biggest thing that you can't teach is that he's high motor. His mentality is that he is going to go just full speed every play. He's going to put his body on the line, and he just plays 100 miles an hour. And when you watch film of these UNC games, every single play you watch, if he doesn't make the tackle, Brandon, he's in like the corner of the frame. He's like there. He has good sideline to sideline skills. He's long. He's smooth. He's versatile. And the bad part is he just doesn't have the experience, Brandon. He's played linebacker for 2 years. And so his run stop ability is not there. 225 is a little bit small for a linebacker, I would say. But I think he has the athleticism to really be a factor. And he even took snaps where he stepped down into that edge role and got after the pass rusher. So I think his versatility makes him a higher end prospect for me. And I think if he gets in the right scheme, gets behind the right guys who could be his mentor, has the right coaching in the NFL, I think you can see Chaz Surratt be very, very high value as a day 3 guy.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Zach. And I honestly, the one thing that caught my mind when you were talking about there was the size. I wouldn't worry too much about the size at all. I mean, like you said, he dropped down into that edge rusher role. That's worst case scenario, I think. He's a very athletic guy. He can definitely do that. But I wouldn't worry about his size because I think that an NFL team will beef him up. I mean, you don't think they're going to feed him? Man, you don't think they're going to be building him up? Dude, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him playing this upcoming season at 245. He's 225 right now. An extra 20 pounds is nothing.
Yeah. And his frame is a lot bigger than he plays with. I feel like he wants to – in college, he kept his weight down to keep his athleticism up. So I would like to see what the team does, but I have no doubt that he could play at 245 and just be as athletic. And if you put him at 245, even having him as an off-the-ball linebacker would be a good move for him because he has the athleticism to drop back in coverage and rush the passer. So I don't know if it was a first-round talent, but I think Chaz Surratt, if he develops, could be a second, third-round value, and you might be able to get him late in the 5th. And so I think that is why he is my overlooked defensive prospect in this draft.
Yeah, I agree with you, Zach. I'll go ahead and move on to my second prospect. I actually have 3, so this is like the first time I've ever come in with more than Zach has. It's never happened before. It'll never happen again. I've got Trey Sherman here, and I think that's just because, yes, there is running back talent in this draft. There's not a ton. Teams hate drafting running backs, which is crazy to me. I get it. You don't want to draft a running back top 10 overall. But, I mean, last year, the first running back off the board was Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 32. I mean, he was the 32nd pick of the draft last year. Yeah. Very end of the first round. People didn't think that he was going to go. People didn't think there was going to be a running back in the first round. This year, there might not be a running back going in the first round. I think the Steelers have the best shot. Maybe the Steelers, maybe the Bills have a good shot of drafting a running back. But all that to say, I mean, Trey Sherman isn't all the way down on a lot of people's draft boards in terms of running backs, but he still has a 4th-round grade. because I think that he's being punished because he is a running back. And if we see the Trey Sherman, dude, let's talk about upside for a second. Because if we see the Trey Sherman that we saw at the end of last season, oh my God. Like, you remember how good that was, Zach? If you had to take a guess as to over his 4 years in college, his 3 years at Oklahoma, 1 year at Ohio State, what was the year, or not what was the year, but let's see, 2018 was his year with his lowest yards per carry. Over under, oh, not over under. Give me an over under. What do you think his yards per carry were that season? If you just had to guess.
I would say probably around 5 or so.
5.8 was his lowest
That's
yards
pretty
per
solid.
carry.
That's pretty solid.
In his sophomore season, 6.1 his freshman season, 7.1 in 2019, his last year at Oklahoma, where he only had 54 carries. And then in his senior season, he had 116 carries, 870 yards, 7.5 yards per carry, only 4 touchdowns. He wasn't like a goal line back or anything, obviously. He didn't really score a lot, which shocked me. But I mean, he gets it done, dude. If you tell me you're going to give me a running back who's going to be able to produce this way, I mean, the 7.5, 7.1, 6.1, 5.8, give him to me. And he's a 4th round grade right now, Zach.
Yeah,
realistically,
I think his top end speed's kind of what holding him back. You know, you say he doesn't have a lot of touchdowns. It's because he can get past the line of scrimmage, but he just gets chased down, man. He doesn't have that like Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams type breakaway speed like a Michael Carter. But I mean, I feel like his biggest thing, like you said, is contact balance and kind of being that bell cow workload back that we could see, you know, 2nd, 3rd down. And, you know, I think that's a massive plus for him. And I think he's going to, depending on where he goes, he has to fit in a certain role. And they have to have a speed back beside him to kind of maximize his ability.
Let me say this, Zach. I think that he would work really well in a backfield with dual running backs. So what I'm talking about with that is a backfield. The Saints a couple years ago had Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. Come on. Like you're telling me he wouldn't do well in a backfield with Christian McCaffrey, or he wouldn't do well in a backfield with Saquon Barkley. He wouldn't do well. I mean, you put him in a backfield, maybe with a team who already has a running back, go ahead and take him. Take the workload, add a couple years of life to your running back one. Give the workload to Trey Sherman because he can do it. I mean, he can be your 3rd down back. He can get that 4 yards from the goal line. I mean, he is. When I was taking notes on this segment, the thing that popped in my mind a lot of times is growing up watching football. What was a running back to you? A running back wasn't this guy who would go out and catch shallow passes. He's the guy who's gonna. I mean, think. Oh, I don't want to compare him to him, but this is the guy who can go up the middle of the field, kind of act like an all-purpose back, basically. I mean, not quite a fullback, but he's going to serve that role, and he's a running back. So I think it's a win-win. And I definitely don't think he deserves a 4th round grade. I'd take him out on that.
Yeah, I think his potential is limited by his speed, but like I look at, you know, that's funny that you said that because I was kind of going to say like he could play kind of like a Mark Ingram role where he could be that kind of like goal line power back type person. So I like that you compared him to him. But yeah, I think, you know, just with like, you know, I guess the value of running back is what's hurting him, Brandon. I mean, he's probably a top 10 running back in this class, but it's just if Javonte Williams and Travis Etienne and Najee Harris aren't going to the 2nd round, when do you expect Trey Sherman to get? When do you expect Trey Sherman to go? So I feel like he's really hurt by the value of his position. But I think he's going to do fine in the NFL. And I think Brandon, this is a guy you're going to look like 7, 8 years down the line. You're like, man, this dude's still in the league.
Right.
He's still chugging along. He's going to be that type of player. So I like this pick.
And then my last pick, Zach, I had to go with one offensive lineman. You got to show love to the O linemen, to the big guys out there, big uglies. And it was hard to pick one. I went with this one because there's another guy who played college football with him, who's also being overlooked or just falling down draft boards, really. But he's still like 1st round grade, 2nd round grade. So I'm not also going to include him. I've got Landon Dickerson here, who is somehow, I mean, people, and you mentioned this on what episode?
I think it's the Washington football team episode.
Yeah, so the one that came out, I guess, yesterday, if you're watching this today. Dude, Landon Dickerson's a dog. I might not like him. You've heard my rants on the podcast, or maybe you haven't. If you're just exclusively YouTube, go check out the podcast. But Landon Dickerson, dog, he's the real deal. People forget he was a consensus All-American this year. He was a Remington Trophy winner. I don't have all the stats because he's an O-lineman, but he's somehow dropped down to like what is he right now? He's like a third, fourth round grade.
Yeah, because of his ACL. I mean, and Brandon, this is crazy. So he's played right tackle, right guard, center, left guard, and left tackle for Alabama.
Yeah, and obviously he's not going to be that versatile in the league. I mean, center guard, yes, he's going to be an interior lineman. He's not going to be able to play tackle, but I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe in a pinch, you could push him out to like that right guard position or right tackle position. Like if you really, really needed a right tackle, I think you can do it.
You see, the thing is that I think he's better at run blocking. So his run blocking grade was a 92. His pass block grade was only like a 76. And his zone run blocking was like one of the highest in the league. So, and, this is funny, Brandon, in 2020, he had more pancake blocks than anybody in the country.
Yeah.
That's what you like to see. And Brandon, you say you don't have the stats. He allowed 1 sack his whole career. He allowed 4 quarterback hits his whole year and allowed only 8 hurries his entire career at Alabama. And this is going against defensive tackles like Derek Brown, Tyler Shelvin for LSU. I mean, he went against the best of the best at nose tackle. You look at some of those Georgia defensive linemen, Florida. I mean, even in the playoffs, Brandon, he's doing this against like Tyler Davis and all of them over at Clemson in the national championship. I mean, this dude has done it at the highest level. And I think, Brandon, like you said, that torn ACL is the only reason why he's dropping. And I think a team is going to get a 10 to 12-year starter anywhere on their offensive line when they get Landon Dickerson.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a guy who, if you didn't tell me he played at Alabama, you just look at what he's done in college. you think I probably love him, first of all. Second of all, I mean, you think he played for Wisconsin or you think he played for Notre Dame, because I mean, he is a prototypical NFL, I mean, the league lineman. And yeah, he is just slipping down draft boards. So some team is going to get extremely lucky with him.
Hey, and he was doing cartwheels at the pro day behind Mac Jones. So it looks like he's decently healthy, I would say, in terms of that recovery. But guys, let us know in the comments who your most overlooked prospect is in this year's NFL draft. What prospect are you just like, man, I know he's going to be better than a 4th, 5th round pick or even later. I mean, listen, I'm not saying you got to trust us. All I'm saying is we both told you Antonio Gibson was the real deal last year when we did this segment. And that dude is legit. And no, I don't even remember who else we picked. If I remember right, I think I picked like Jordan Fuller or something. I forget. It was Ohio State. I'll have to look it up. We gotta like check our accuracy on some of this stuff. But guys, make sure to hit the like button on this video, man. It helps us get this content out. Make sure to comment. We will respond to y'all's comments. Everyone who's been commenting, we've been responding. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are like two subscribers away from 90 subscribers, guys. If we hit that 100. We're going to do that draw. We're going to send that merch bundle out to 5 lucky subscribers. And then once we get to 200, we'll have another big thing to give away. But, guys, make sure to do that. Make sure to check out our NFL draft corners. I guess if you're watching this, the Ravens one will be out. Washington football team and Seattle already out. Make sure to go back and check out old 2-minute drills from this past week. And make sure to check out our Big 12 in 30 days. We got Will Baser on the podcast today covering some Texas football, Brandon's favorite team. He has some very interesting comments about Steve Sarkisian and what's going on there. So make sure to check that out. That'll be out on all audio platforms and our YouTube channel. But, guys, we appreciate y'all's support. Me and B-Dub will be back tomorrow. But for B-Dub, myself, the 2-minute drill, and the Blue Bloods, we are out.